Thank you for watching here on YouTube at Blooming Light, Blooming Tribe. If you're new to my channel, I invite you to look at the home page, as well as I do have well over 2,000 videos here on this platform, and it's a combination of my stuff and other content creators. So what you need to know, the gist of what you need to know is that I am a survivor, as is my adult autistic son, of narcissistic abuse. We are also identified as targeted individuals. Okay, and so I take on a holistic approach to life, and that's essentially what you need to know. Now, today's discussion, or should I say this evening's discussion, is something that came to mind as like the rest of us. You know, you're going about your day. Most of us at some point, we're going to pick up our phones and our devices, and we're going to open up one of these social media platforms, and guarantee you're going to see, you know, the latest scandals, at least one video. And, you know, there's this thing about the Miss Shirley and her little girl, um, and, you know, everything that she's been doing, and this 4-year-old little girl. And Jon Bonet Ramsey came to mind. Some of you are too young to remember or to know anything about the case of Jon Bonet. She was a 4-year-old. I think she may have started at 4, you know, a 4-year-old little girl that, you know, was, you know, her parents really got wealthy and rich maybe off of her. I don't know the full totality of their story, but the reason why I thought of this story is because though it may not have appeared as vulgar, they definitely did have this little girl in contests and conducting in ways that was beyond her age. Okay, so for an example, you know, she's got on these cocktail dresses, and she's got on all this extra makeup and so forth, and in all these contests, right? And needless to say, I mean, it doesn't really take a rocket scientist to figure out, okay, well, while she is kind of young, you know what I'm saying, for all of that. Now, again, it wasn't as raunchy as this Miss Shirley thing that everybody is highlighting about, but Jon Bonet Ramsey was a little girl who was put in industry by her parents. And in other words, she had to do, you know, hours of training, modeling, posing, looking like a little, like basically this little girl like a little lady. You know what I'm saying? She's looking seductive and all of these things, okay? She's Caucasian. Now, in this case, you know, those of you who are old enough to remember this, okay, she is no longer with us, okay? Why did that come to my mind? I was curious why it came to my mind as I clicked on the video. I went onto one of my social medias, and it was in my news feed, or the algorithm, the Miss Shirley little girl and the red dress and the whoop and the, you know, and so I was like, okay, I finally just stopped to look at it. And I was like, okay, I understand. I've seen all these people's videos and their upsets and all of that stuff. I said, okay. But it also made me think about, I wonder if that was the case back then. I wonder if that was the case as it pertains to Jon Bonet Ramsey, this young woman, this little girl, because she was a little girl, between 4 to 6. I think she was, you know, murdered between that age. And I wonder, though we didn't have social media the same way, I wonder if her family, if her mother and her father, before she got unalivened, I wonder if they got the same weight or level of slack from having this little girl at a very young age needing to perform like a lady. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out she don't look 4, okay? Since that's the focus here, it's little, she don't look 4, do she? They're not having her in things representing a little girl, because this is her as a little girl. That's her. Okay. That is her in her possible, you know what I'm saying, her natural little girl self. Okay. Her parents did not have her in things just exuding her natural little girl self. They had her in, they had her and stuff with the Farrah Fawcett with the 80s big ass hair. You know what I'm saying? Makeup better than ours. Okay. Did that woman and her husband get the same slack? Did ever before her unaliving? Because to me, I think it's still, I looked it up today, it's still under active investigation. Before anybody come up with their attitudes and their assumptions, is she defending Miss Shirley? The answer is no. So before any of you out there assume that I'm trying to necessarily make a case either way, the answer is no. I am not justifying, first and foremost, I don't know the full and totality, but I am not trying to be the justification for Miss Shirley to do what she's doing with her little girl. This is what I am thinking and what's bothering me about the whole thing. Humiliation rituals have been being done on the African American culture for a very, very long time. And it has been being done in different ways. And this is the thing that came to mind to bother me. So no, I am not trying to take up for Miss Shirley or trying to imply that that is okay. But what I am highlighting is the humiliation rituals that have been traditionally done at the expense of African Americans, projection and scapegoating. And how our own people are often used to amplify the criticisms when these are the same kinds of behaviors, these cultures, these other cultures have been operating in for decades, for eons. Projection and humiliation ritual, trying to make a fool and a mockery and exploiting everything that is wrong about one culture while hiding and downplaying what's wrong about yours. And the fact that your people have been doing the same thing for years. And nobody's saying anything about that. The world will wake up at some point. But see, this is exactly the kind of stuff that I pay attention to. I don't just jump on a bandwagon. See, I've learned, I know better. And I know when my kind is being manipulated for a cause for, through the oppressor. I know that too. Diddy trials, you know what I'm saying? This shit now with the Diddy trials, you know what I'm saying? I'm certainly not trying to advocate for none of his shenanigans or anybody, but guess what? It's bigger than him, because how did he get there? See that again, I'm gonna say this again. How? Who's behind it? But yet, the scapegoat, you see what I'm saying? That's why I said I'm not trying to take up for Miss Shirley. I'm not into all of that. I'm not trying to justify and say, y'all, yeah, booty boo. And I'm certainly not justifying anything to do with Hollywood or the Diddy stuff or anything like that. I'm not going there. Oh, I'm going to so have fun with these beings. and these groups. Actually, I already am. I'm going to continue to. But back to what I'm saying. Learning how to look deeper. Anything to get people fighting and arguing about shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to say shit that don't matter, because that's not a fair statement. But all of this concern, you know, they're concerned about this little girls. And these would be the same people who wouldn't be concerned if... who could care less if that lady was struggling and wouldn't offer her a penny, or her daughter. Some of us just like hearing ourselves talk, and we just want to get on something so we can go viral. Some of us aren't even concerned about our own people, our own family, and our own children being exploited and violated every day. Every day. But behind the scene. And we ain't paying no attention to that. Concerned about if we leaving our kids with pedophiles and abusers. Because see, we've all, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, look at what's been going on with Hollywood, the fall of Hollywood and all that stuff. And, you know, again, I don't get deep into that, all of that, but I do see it when it comes across some of my news feed. And I find it fascinating too, in that most of the time, every blue moon is to do with, you know, maybe a Caucasian here and there. But most of the time, it's the African-American fall of Hollywood. It's, you know what, they took the bait, and as it's falling, the ones that's going to fall first is going to be the African Americans that took the bait, that took the deal to begin with. That's what I see. Because the stuff in Hollywood and, you know, all these big megas of shit been going on eons before even, that's going to hurt. But it's the truth. Long before niggas was even allowed. Long before niggas was even allowed in the arena. This grotesque shit. The desperation of the African-American culture is what was exploited and banked on people wanting to get out of the hood, people wanting to, you know, make it big. And that's essentially what, you know, they exploited about the African-American culture as it pertains to Hollywood and those who made it big. And then a trillion years later, you see all this scandal. But where's the root of the scandal? Where's the heart? Where's the founders? They not black. I'm gonna tell you that now. They not. Remember, the African-American culture was removed from their origins and put into slave labor and was conditioned into a lot of abuse and oppression and brainwashing. So they just became puppets and house niggas. And then they became people who wanted to not be poor so bad that they would do anything for it. So they start, you know, defiling themselves, defiling their families and all this stuff. And then when shit hits the fan, I promise you, the first to go down is going to be the African Americans. The first to go down. If something has to happen, if there's no way you can just do away with it and make it go away altogether, well, the first ones that's going to go down is going to be the African Americans. It's going to be all of the proofs in which they have what they got them into. Much like what Diddy did, much like the stories that all of these people are coming out saying, you know, these humiliation rituals and the proofs and what he used. Where do you think he got that from? I wanted to show this because I want the world to remember, those of us that are old enough, once upon a time, you know, so she's Caucasian, so she's not going to be singing no black song and doing no black dances. And African Americans have definitely been over-sexualized, you know what I'm saying, since slavery. We know that. But our culture is not the only culture that's been exploiting sexuality and children and femininity and all of those things. This is the 80s, and it was happening then. And, you know, for then, it just came out like this little girl that looks like a little midget. You know what I'm saying? Because you're like a woman. You know, so she won many beauty contests and you know, she did many photo shoots and things like that. Okay. She belonged on the set of Dynasty. Okay. And this stuff has been happening since the 80s. Not to mention what you know, once again, that old bait and switch, that old projection, that old, you know, scapegoating. Look at Miss Shirley and her little girl, you know, dancing with a red dress on and touching herself and stuff. Well, look at this little girl modeling and walking down a one-way like she's a 25-year-old supermodel with a halter side piece dress on, bitch. You know, with seductive poses. What the hell are you doing? The slight mouth open pose. You 4, you 5. This is the true little girl. Getting people to get riled up about something and then getting people to gang up on something. Again, I'm not taking up for anything. I'm not trying to imply none of that. My whole point is what we've become quite good at is ganging up on our own, not even able to look at our own backyards. Many of us don't know where our kids are, if we got kids. Many of us got fucking pedophiles in our own family, and we pretend like we don't know that, and we still leave them there anyway, bitch. Many of us have abusive as, you know, family members that abuse children, and we pretend like we don't know that, and then we leave them there anyway. We ain't even looking at our own backyard. Many of us, because see, let's be honest about our lives. Let's be honest, a part of our awakening or ascension or whatever you want to call it is being able to honestly reflect and honestly look at your life, even if it's not going to be in your favor to look at some things about you or that you allowed. But because it's what not on social media, because it's what not on TV, because what nobody else don't know about it, because what nobody's making no money, then it doesn't matter. It don't exist. We're the same people who will turn a blind eye to that kind of stuff, talking about it ain't none of our business. But we love projecting. We love getting in and going in and criticizing and five-tooth combing. Another thing that I wonder about these people is like, okay, real talk, real life. Again, I am not advocating or condoning whether or not Miss Shirley should have done all of that. But real time, real life. Let's say, you know, this lady, let's say she don't got nothing. For whatever reasons. Let's say her situation is dire and whoop-de-whoop. Okay, I wonder how many of these same people that's got concern would have any concern then. Or would people just be willing to continue to eat their chicken and ice cream and, you know, be like, well, you know, I'm going to pray about it. You know, I pray that they're able to go find something at the soup kitchen. You know, I'm going to pray and, you know, pray to the Lord. Put on somebody's heart, you know, to, I'm gonna pray for her and her little girl that they have, you know, the Lord put on somebody's heart to, you know, donate a home to them or let them in their home or, you know, some kind people. I'm gonna pray for them. Yes, I am. I'm gonna pray for them. Or, you know, I might give them some information about the soup kitchen and, you know, tell them to call 211. So they can find some latest resources in their local community. How many of these people are going to go on social media and create videos and, you know, stitches with this lady? In that respect, nobody. Nobody. They ain't gonna do none of that. That's when they gonna get saved and spiritual all of a sudden. That's when it's gonna be, we praying. Oh, I pray for you. They'll do anything if they kind. They'll put a comment like, well, we praying for you and your little girl that y'all will find kindness or somebody that's willing to help you to get a new home and so forth, and some other than dried up, molded as bread and plastic cheese. Oh, why am I highlighting this? Because again, I'm the person that's gonna call out all of our bullshit. Once again, I am not advocating because there's gonna be people saying, is she taking up? No, nor do I need to. But I will highlight the hypocrisies, the double standards, and the fact that African American culture has been scapegoated forever. Okay? Set up and scapegoated and projected upon forever by the oppressors. Those of us that have sold out into some of their shit, you know, that's used against the African American culture so that when the rubber meets the road, it's going to be you blast across that TV more than anybody else. It's, you know, your secrets and what you were willing to do so you can get that dealy deal. Huh? It's going to be you. It's going to be you first. Mm-hmm. And then it's going, yes, especially the ones who tried to leave the pack. You know what I'm saying? Well, whatever they had is something that they definitely gonna get you pinned for. What I'm going to do is call out bullshit. And, you know, once again, kindness. I'm working on that. I'm working on trying to, you know, find ways of being more kind to myself, kind, you know, to those that are close enough to me. But I'm even trying to work on kindness as it pertains to what I want to invest in, what I want to focus on. As a teacher and a reader, I do have to talk about a lot of yucky stuff, okay, that's happening to targeted individuals. Because it is our lives, it's what we experience. But even I am trying to, you know, redirect and go, okay, it's easy to be a critical eye. It's not so easy to be expansive. It's easy to fine tooth comb everybody else. Like I said, many of us can't even look in our own backyard. We're not honest about it, even if, man, I'm gonna leave that alone, because I'm like, that's bullshit. And then we get in social media because we see a video trending. Some of us, that's the only reason why we doing it. I'm just gonna call that shit. That's the only reason why that's being done. Maybe I'll get me a viral video, bitch. You know what I'm saying? Shit. Talk about some shit. You don't even care. You don't care, nigga. You know, you don't even care. You don't care. Because if you're called into question, you know what I'm saying, you'll get spiritual if it came down to some practical help for the motherfuckers. You'll be stuttering and I'm praying. Right. So her mama and daddy did the same shit, is what I'm saying. Jon Bonet. So don't think that this is an ethnic, cultural thing. How come it doesn't get the same kind of scrutiny, though, is what I'm going to make people look at. You're going to say, how you going to do that? Because I'm going to shut up. That's how. Ooh, let's jump on this real quick. Let's act like we so spiritual and so saved and so grounded and so nurturing and practical, and we leaving our kids with pedophiles. Some of the pedophiles is in our own family and abusers and all that, but we're not going to talk about that right now. Yeah. Okay. Anything but look at ourselves, and anything but look at the deeper matter. Anything. Ooh, everybody get on and let's go to town. Can you go to town on your life? I promise you, you're not going to do it. Promise. Let's make a bet. Let's put a wage. Promise you, you ain't going to do it. Let's go to town. Let's get the microscope for your life. Come here. Come here. Let me look. Come here. Let me look. There's secrets. What motherfuckers don't know about you every day. Let me see. Come here. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's a distraction. It is to keep us distracted, first and foremost, from our own personal growth, you know, our own lives, our own gardens. But it's also a distraction from looking at the weightier matters. And as I said before, it's the same thing they've been doing since forever. Using the African American culture They already brainwashed them. That was a part of the program. That was a part of it. So using them as weaponry but simultaneously making them feel like they're spiritual. Oh shit. Making them feel like they're spiritual and saved and doing I'm a soldier in the army of the Lord. I'm a soldier in the army. No, you're not. You're a soldier in your oppressor's yard. You're a soldier for the oppressor. You're a soldier. Oh, yeah. Using us to become the new whooping chain. That's what they doing. We don't see it. We think we deep. And they sitting back in their special caves and with their fucking, you know what I'm saying? With their, robes on and shit. With their secret artifacts and all that. They're sitting their asses somewhere going, shit. Laughing at our dumb asses. It works every time. Turn them against one another. And we can put in less energy and effort. And our hands can look clean. And we can still look like saviors that we want to be, but we not because we frauds. I'm telling you, anything. So here's just what I want to advise or guide or encourage. I'm going to still lean into let's be decent people. And gain some empathy and compassion. And understand not everything is quite as it seems. And try to put ourselves in people's places. And then look at humanity from clear lens in terms of history and all cultures and things that have been going on since forever. And look at the grand scheme of things. We have children that are being trafficked. We have people and populations, disabled people, and all kinds of folks that's targeted every day for their energy. And the people that know about energy is exploiting just that, the sick and the disabled and the elderly, and these targeted populations that receive the bigger, the greater matter. People are being abducted, literally and energetically, every day. And being left for dead. And being left to live some kind of impoverished life because of low lives that run the universe. Understand, there are things bigger than the Diddy trial, bigger than Miss Shirley, bigger than Jon Bonet. It's to me now, Jon Bonet, that's one of the unfortunate things. The little girl gone. And people who don't get press, and that the greater matter is that there's a greater evil, there's a greater perversion and a greater corruption beyond what we're looking at. Because if you're a targeted population, you ain't got enough money and power to be doing no big time shiznit. It's the motherfuckers who do. So, and who is the motherfuckers that do? They not African American. The African Americans that have some of the power was delegated it And there was humiliation, hazing that's done to them in order for them to get it, such as Diddy and any of the others. Could we be decent people? I shared a young lady's post on TikTok. She's one of another young ladies. I always repost her stuff. And most of the time, she's happy-go-lucky. And I understand that that's social media. And nobody's like that 24/7. But she did make the point how unhappy people get bothered by happy people. And I really feel like that's what a lot of some of this stuff is. Because she made a point. She was like, even if you have less than, the fact that you're finding some kind of enjoyment, something that makes you happy, bothers happiness haters. And I believe the African American culture, many of us, whether we want to admit it or not, want to find ways to ruin people's happiness. And I do believe that. And I believe that we'll find any reason and excuse when we're miserable cunts and fucks, when we're stuck in life, when we refuse to look at our own backyard, when we refuse to deal with our own conditioning and programming and trauma. I believe that's what we end up doing. People that's finding their way in life, people that are creating their own happiness on their terms, people that are stepping out of the control parameters of this is what you should do, this is what you have to do. We only approve of you doing this and that and thus and thou, but these are the same people that's not going to finance your damn life. I believe that's what most of what we see, okay? Am I applying that necessarily with the case of Miss Shirley and everyone? But I do believe that there's a lot of individuals that is the case. It's trying to find a way to get viral. It's boredom, stuckness, in a rut. It's I don't want to look at my life, so let me project and fine-tooth comb someone else's. Somebody that's having a good time, somebody that's making a way for themselves, somebody that's not stuck in a box and limited, somebody that is out there investing and taking risk and trying new things while I sit back and be a spectator. And so that I can seem like I'm being deep and spiritual, then I'm going to use my religion, I'm going to use my spirituality, I'm going to use the fact that somebody is a little girl, but that same little girl, they would not be stepping up to assist if that woman was doing a video saying, hey, you know, we don't have anybody, our family's toxic, you know, we don't have any resources, and, you know, we're trying to make our way through, you know, and had her out, you know, did a video with them cooking some snacks or, you know, shit, I don't know. But these be the same people, they ain't gonna do shit. They wouldn't even share the video. Because then they gonna be saying she hustling. And she trying to pander to people's empathy and to get, you see that? If she tried it that way, she'll still get some slack. I promise you, you would still get some slack. Even if it was cleaned up and all the stuff, the way people claiming that they think things should be. Nobody would be sharing her video. Nobody would be discussing it. Nobody would be even trying to step in and assist. People, the most that they would do is make some dry ass comments talking about, I'm praying for you. We need to call ourselves out on our own bullshit, and I'm going to continue to advocate for humanity to do it. Not to beat yourself up, not to beat ourselves up, but in the name of transformation, in the name of maybe creating a little bit more empathy and humanity and compassion and realness. In the name of realizing we're not pooping cotton candy in our own backyards, and we're not pissing Hawaiian punch. Listen, the human condition, we live with a state of nose blindness as a standard, as a state of being. It is going to always be easier for us from the outskirts to evaluate someone else. That's just by nature. But this is also why it serves us to stop, pause, reflect, go within, and be willing to do that and to expand. You've been with you your whole life. You've been with your condition. You've been with your set of social norms, your cultural conditioning, your programming. You've been with all of these things since you've been in existence. So you can't smell the poop. It's hard to. You have to be intentional. Just like you sit in a room long enough and there's some garbage that hasn't been taken out, and you never go outside, and you've been in that room for 24 hours, and you've been in that room for 48 hours, you still smell it, but that scent is going to become more and more faint to you. You'll smell it, but you are adapting. Your nose and your senses are adapting to the environment. Someone that's outside and that has not been in that space, when they open the door and come in that space, is going to slap them in the face.
What?
Like a volcano.
Excuse me?
And that's because they have not been in there. And that's the point that I've been making for years. So it'll serve us to try to be a little more kinder to ourselves and other people for that reason. Because we can't smell our own poop. And most of us aren't willing to be self-reflective in order to discover smelling our own poop. The hypersexualized African American culture is what's funding the powers that be. It's in songs, it's in everything. If we want to deal with something, then you got to look at the source. You got to look at the pain and the traumas and the oppressiveness that has been utilized in order to do it. Okay? All right, so expand, humans. Look at the greater picture. Are you somebody that they're using as a distraction? Are you someone that is helping massa destroy their own people? Are you a house nigga? Are you a hypocrite? Are you a sellout? Are you someone who want to be a spectator of everyone else's life, but yours is secretly a shambles? Are you someone that's got more skeletons in your closet than the ones in which everyone is targeting to attempt to humiliate? Are you projecting because you feel stuck in life?
Projecting what?
And anybody that's finding happiness and creativity on their own and able to get themselves out of stuff bothers you, so you want to find anything that you can wrong with them?
And nada does. Such things blue bubbles.
While simultaneously trying to get yourself some press by speaking of them. Is that you? Do you have a toxic family dynamic where it's a common knowledge in the family that Uncle so-and-so is a pedophile? Or Aunt so-and-so is mentally ill and they torture kids and do shit in secret? But nobody talks of it because, you know, we keep it in the family. But then you want to do a viral video on Miss Shirley? I've always said glass houses, you know. That's an old saying. People who live in the idea is that people who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. And what that's all about is, like, in other words, you're a whore, you shouldn't be trying to call out whores. You're a criminal and a thief, you definitely shouldn't be one trying to advocate and call out somebody's being a criminal or a thief. That's what I'm trying to say. You do shady deals, shady acres, and not in a cool way. You definitely shouldn't be one trying to call out someone else. Glass houses. People who live in glass whole houses shouldn't be throwing stones. And guess what? I'm not anti. I'm going to end it with this because I'm kind of getting all over the place with this. Believe it or not, I'm not anti-spicy worker. You would never. See, people assume that. I'm actually not. We all have a story, don't we? So that's not the space that is coming from a person like me. I have a problem with people in this universe, glass houses, currently hoeing, but then try to get on a platform and try to point out or call out something about somebody being a whore. Currently a cheater, someone who cheats and commits infidelity, but then want to get on the cases of people who are doing so and kind of try to act like that's not what they are. That's what I have a problem with. Not so much people's lifestyle choosing to be one. I say shit, do you, but shit, nigga, try to be an integral hoe if you're gonna be one, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Shit. Try to own up your shit. You grown. You ain't gotta get nobody's approval. But try to have some damn integrity. And sure enough, your ass shouldn't be talking about trying to point out nothing about somebody cheating, because that's your lifestyle. So it is in everything else. If you're a killer, you kind of shouldn't be saying nothing about none of that. Okay? You kill people, you kind of don't want to try to imply that you're a decent person. And that you wouldn't hurt a fly. You know what I'm saying? Don't do that, because that's not what you are. You're a murderer. Okay, let's clean up our own backyard, and then let's aim to be decent people, and let's aim to have a little bit more empathy and compassion for a fellow man, and let's get more honest with ourselves, because most of us don't give two flying fucks, but it sure sounds good to say that we do care. Now that is what represents growth. That's what represents transformation. That's what it looks like. Not how beautifully and eloquently you can speak and create a post on a platform. Not how many sales you can get from a store that you opened. Not how many followers, likes, viewers, and subscribers. Who are you? Not who you want to be and not who you want people to think you are. Who are you? What are you about when you think you have on the ring of Gyges? What are you about? Ring of Gyges. Plato's ring of Gyges is a ring of invisibility. And it brings in the ideal notion that what a person would actually do if they thought people could never see them or would never know. And I am inviting the world to start asking those questions about themselves so that you can get to the truth about yourself.